Okay. This is gonna get deep, I guess. So, this is my testimony from the beginning. Yeah, from the beginning to where I am now. Why do I sound like. Okay, so let's start where it began. Not where it originally began. Yes, I was born. We will skip that part. But part of understanding who I am today is is how do I phrase that? To understand who I am today and who I am now, you need to understand who I was and how I got here. So that's where we'll start. Um, I'm probably sure you don't know about this already, but I I deal with a lot. Everyone deals with a lot. Come on, like you already know that. But I deal with a lot. You know, I used to deal with a lot. Now I feel so lightweight because I found Christ. But I used to deal with a lot. That's because I was the guy who deals with a lot. People would come to me like asking questions, looking for answers, so on and so forth. So I was just that guy. not, not that guy, but that guy. So it began back when I was about 3, 5, somewhere around that age. We were living in an apartment building or flat if you're not South African. So in this flat, I was one of the only guys, only males who was friends with like all the girls. I was a ladies' man back then. I like most of every girl knew me, and looking back now, I genuinely don't know why. But that's how it was. So there was this girl, right? My next door neighbor, like the apartment building next to us, you know? I think we lived in 2014 and she lived in 2015. So a lot happened between us, like a scary lot. One of the key things that happened between us, now this is very personal. I don't think I've even told my family about this. But one of the things that happened between us is she would she would like get me to do things that seem so bad. She would get she would get me to do things, you know, with her. And these things were going on for quite a while, to the point where two other girls got involved because of me and how my next door neighbor affected me. So it was her that did it first, and then like that kind of grew on to me, and then it went on to other girls, like two other girls. I think three or four other girls maybe. I'm not sure at this point. But it kind of grew onto me, and then and then the other girls also had what the next door neighbor had, like what she wanted. They also wanted what she wanted, you know? And I kind of just faded into it and accepted it to the point where it became almost a daily part of my life back then. So we eventually moved, forgot about her for a while, and just lived life, you know. I was very secular back then, of course I was. And then we reached grade 8. if you've ever experienced grade 8, then you know how it feels, how tough it can get once you like step into high school, you know. High school, and they told us about this. People who were in high school, when we were in grade 7, they would like, high school's so bad, man. Like, you don't want to be in high school. High school is so bad. Like, high school will change you. High school will change you. Right? And we were all like, can't be that bad. Come on. And then we actually got there and everyone started complaining, like, oh no, it's so bad. And I agree, I was one of those people like, oh, I was just broken by high school. And high school was like, it's a mix of everything: social, academical, economical, ecological. All these things might not make sense, but yeah, it's just a mix of everything. So grade 8 was one of the toughest years of my life. Making friends, easy enough. I fit into two groups: my main friend group and this other friend group, right? And the other friend group, which is like the bigger friend group, was the more toxic one. But my main friend group was also toxic because it was filled with like a lot of sin, a lot of dark. So grade 8 happened, a lot of things I regret. There's something that is happening today, that is happening to me today, like right now, that I totally regret. It's so heavy on my heart that every time I think about this thing, it just brings me sadness, because it's like back in grade 8, I could have done this thing. Well, that if I gave you context, that would have sounded so wrong. But yeah, I could have done this thing, but off topic. A lot of things I regret back in grade 8. I used to sin a lot, very much. One of my main struggles was lust. Yo, I can't go back. But it is true. A lot of boys, a lot of teenage boys, if not all teenage boys, have struggled with lust before. It is one of the most compelling sins out there. I'm not 100% sure, but lust has almost affected every male out there. And that's because of the devil. And I will not back down on that, but either ways. So, used to struggle with that a lot. Almost every day. No, not almost every day, but it was very often that lust would be popping up, and then I would just fall into it and keep falling, yada yada yada. And I tried to quit many times. Quit for periods, came back, felt so much shame, and then it was a rinse and repeat cycle. And then earlier this year, around February, was when my faith actually began. When I stepped out of the devil's hands and just took a glimpse at God and His glory, and I was like, what is this? What is this? This feels so good. And I'm also going to go into detail about that. The main reason I decided to begin my walk with God was because of my sister, my older sister. She had begun her walk like back when I was in grade 8 last year. So she is the main reason I began my faith. After seeing her become like this spiritually strong person and this person okay with God, I was like, hey, I want that too. And it had been going on for a while. Like, it was a thought in my mind, like, should I really be doing this? Should I really start reading? And yada yada yada. And yeah, so earlier this year, 2025, February, is when I was like, you know what, I need to start locking in. So I began my Bible journey. I started reading every day, started praying. And I think the main reason I derived that feeling from my sister was because I was, maybe not, but might have been jealous of what she had, of how spiritually strong she was, of like the amazing Christian she was. And I was like, and I felt so much conviction in my heart. But looking back now, there was just a drop of jealousy in there. So yeah, I was so, after February came March, April, started to grow spiritually stronger, but I started realizing that it never changes, you know? I thought I was doing good at some point, and then I would realize that this was wrong. So then I'll change from that, and then I'll find out that something else is wrong, and it was a rinse and repeat cycle, and it still goes on. But now I know how to handle it, and now I know that it's good. But like back then, earlier this year, I was like, I feel like I'm disappointing God, and I feel like God is so angry at me, I just felt it, you know. But the real revelations started coming around mid this year, June, July, and August. June, July, August. Those were like the three revelation periods for me. I started like learning more, deepening my relationship to God, and just getting spiritually stronger, you know. And then what else? So yeah, I think after August was when things actually started to like get good, you know. I was seeing eye to eye with God. I was still making mistakes, you know, seeing things I wasn't supposed to, falling into things that I know were dangerous, doing things I know were dangerous. But now, I would say I'm a better person. I have become better. I've learned to avoid it. That's why I left my old channel. If you look to the first video on my channel, if I post this, you'll see that I left my old channel because it was very toxic. It had a lot of sin in it, and I just felt disgusted by it. I've had that account since I was like in primary. If you're not South African, that's preschool. Wait, not preschool. There's mid school. I don't know. There's there's preschool, whatever school, and high school. You know, there's the grade from grade 7, from grade R to grade 7. Grade R is like basic grade 0, if you don't know what that means. So grade R, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not saying it. Then 7, you know. So, what was I talking about? Um, hmm. But yeah, that's when it actually started to get good, around August, and then now I'd say I'm a better person, you know. I'm actually doing good. I'm doing way better. I do still struggle with some things. Don't mind that. The G20 summit is happening right now, so that's probably police patrol, or it's just police patrol, you know. But anyways, I would say I'm a better person. I have grown very much spiritually stronger. I have been connecting with God more, reading more, studying more, actually learning and applying, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's so far my testimony. Now let's get into like the other deep parts. One thing that they do tell you about, but I didn't know, that I wasn't told about, is that you're gonna lose a lot. You're gonna lose a lot because of your faith. I think the primary reason why I unfriended my best friend, one of my best friends, is due to my faith. I would tell him, I would be like, yo, bro, yada, blah, and he would be like, yo, man, I really don't, blah, 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 blah. And we would just fight over it sometimes. He did some things I didn't like. I did some things he didn't like. And we eventually just grew apart. He found a new crowd. He started getting into dangerous things, and at this point, I just learned. That's another video I wanna make. I just learned that sometimes after you try, you just have to let go. To some extent, there is no saving a person. You can save a person, but there might not be an extent to save a person, because some people have hardened their hearts so much to the point almost beyond return. I still believe that there's hope for him, but yeah. I also realized there's also a situation about that really awakened that thought in my mind. There is this girl in my class. Well, the year's over now, so we're moving on. But there was or is this girl in my class, right? And one thing I think she struggles with the most, well, not the most, but one of the main things she struggles with is her music. You know. Now I think that I've fixed my music to the point where I can like advise her. I've been advising her like maybe you should like stop listening to this artist, or stop doing these things, so on and so forth. And that's something I have told her, and that's something I also want to speak about once more. But yeah, and I just gave up on her. She drained me so much. She drained me spiritually. She drained me physically. I feel so tired every time I see her, speak to her, because it's something wrong with her all the time. Something wrong about me. Not wrong with her herself, but something wrong about me. You know? So I just told her I'm done. Like, if you wanna continue, continue. I just tried to advise you and moved on. But yeah, that's just what I want to say. You're gonna lose a lot because of your faith. I lost a lot. My relationships with like friend people, my thoughts and ideologies. Now a lot of the things I lost were good, but a lot of the things I lost were just sad to me. Now I genuinely don't care. I'm happy that I lost most of these things, if not all of these things. But yeah, I genuinely feel better about that. I guess that's my testimony so far. If I have anything missing, I will update you. But one key takeaway from this is, might have to figure out that yourself. Or let me see. One key takeaway from this can be like, don't give up. I could have gave up at any point, but I was like, no, I have to go strong. I have to keep going. There's the grass is always green on the other side. Now that's the saying originally says that the grass isn't always green on the other side, but the grass is green on the other side. You just have to keep walking through the maze, and you're gonna get lost, of course, but once you get out the maze, the grass is so much greener. It's so good. So yeah, never give up. Never back. Never back down. Never what? Never give up. Never back down. Never what? Never give up. But yeah, that's my testimony. Hope you learned something from this, and I hope that you learned to never give up. Never stop pushing. Never stop giving. Never stop being who God intended you to be, because whoever God intended you to be is greater than who you intend yourself to be. So yeah, just trust in Him, give your all to Him, and He'll do the rest. I hope you enjoyed this, and see you next time.